Hey, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co, and today we are doing a video series that I do a few times. Actually, now I'm kind of curious. I don't actually know how often I do this a year. I do this video series 2 or 3 times a year, I think. This is my, here are a bunch of late pledges. You can go ahead and late pledge because they are still available to late pledge series. I think I do it 2 or 3 times a year. Now I'm going to have to go and check and then put a comment down below saying how often I do it, because now I'm not sure if I do it like 5 times a year or 3 times a year. I think I do it 2 or 3 times a year. Anyways, that is neither here. We are going to go through 20 late pledges today. These are a bunch of late pledges that, at least as of the time of the filming, you can go ahead and late pledge all of these. Also, these are all over on GameFound. This is the part where I give you a disclaimer. I am CMO of GameFound, but I do this series on GameFound because it is the easiest one. I mean, again, this is on like tout GameFound features and all that. It is the easiest place to search around for active late pledges. If you look on any other platform, it's not quite as easy. Hive is a little bit, but even then it's a little harder to filter for active projects or whatnot. And Backit I find nearly impossible to actually search around. So until those things change, I am happy to feature any platforms that make it easy to search for late pledges. This is the easiest one, so they're primarily there. That said, a lot of these campaigns are campaigns that were over on Kickstarter one. Actually, I don't know if it's a lot. Some of these campaigns were previously on Kickstarter, late pledge on GameFound, but as long as late pledge was searchable on GameFound, that's how I went ahead and found these. Disclaimer number 2. I don't know if this is as much a disclaimer as a general note. This video is sponsored by Go On Board. We're going to be going through 20 late pledges today. 15 of them are games I have played, and 5 of them are games I want to play. I do have them ordered within the sections. I'm doing the 15 I know first and the 5 I don't know second. But within each section, I am ordering it based on the order of least to most funding, so those that have had less exposure can have possibly more exposure before people tap out and don't make their way 7 minutes into the video. That's always a thing. So like the earlier stuff, I'm going to try to make you, if you're excited about finding all the stuff about Lands of Evershade or who knows what, Slay the Spire, those will all be later in the video. But like I mentioned, this video is sponsored by Go On Board, which means they actually are going to be featured first with Cyberpunk 2077, the board game. We're going to go ahead and dive into a bunch of things. This one over here will be a bit more, here are key things to know, because they are sponsoring the video. The rest will be whatever I just choose to go ahead and focus on, but let's start off with Cyberpunk 2077, the board game. This is the video game turn board game. Fun fact, I just started playing the video game. Finally started, it was on sale recently. I think it was like 30 bucks something. I don't know, it was on sale. I went ahead and bought it and started playing it. So far, I'm liking it, but it is a slow start. I'm not quite in love. I like it. We'll see. I'll see how far I get into it. I also just got Assassin's Creed Black Flag because my kids are super interested in the series, and like the resynced version, they were interested in that. So I'm starting that too. Too many things. Too many video games. Too many board games. That is neither here nor there. What is here is Go On Board. They have this campaign over here. It's 32,000 backers of the campaign. This is taking the the beloved video game, the IP and all that, turning it into a board game. It's going to have real-time elements. It's going to have exploration, teamwork. You're going to be going on these missions as you try to manage the focus, the dice rolling, trying to build up your character, get a little bit degree of evolution and advancement as you go through it. And this thing closes in 8 days, I think, depending on you're watching this. Maybe 7 days. 7 days. July 20th is the last day to go ahead and get access to this. After that, it'll be retail options only or secondhand market. If you do want all the deluxe options, all the the full box of crowdfunding extras, that will cost more for some of those things later down the road. If you want any or all of that, this is the last chance, 7 more days, depending on when you watch this video, to go ahead and get your hands on it. I played this one, and okay, so this is not a fair comparison, because I'm like an hour into the video game, and I think video games like this take a lot of time to get into, but right now, I would easily choose the board game over the video game, based on my exposure with the board game, and my exposure with the video game so far. For me, the real-time elements, they did an excellent job with them. It's not just a real-time game, there's a lot of elements going onto it, but the real-time elements, they nailed it. To me, the comparison I constantly give is Project Elite. Project Elite is absolutely fantastic as far as the timing mechanisms between, like having small bursts of time, then a lot of strategy in between that really made the real time not just a gimmick, but rather a part of the full experience. And Cyberpunk 2077 is the only other board game that has done something similar while being very different mechanically speaking. That, and of course, miniatures great, production great, all those things. But Cyberpunk 2077, the board game, is our first campaign we're focusing on. From there, we're going to move to Raas. Raas, A Dance of Love from Arcane Wonders. I believe this is going to be released at Gen Con, so you do have availability to get this physically soon. I think I could be wrong, but if not, you can still go ahead and late pledge it over here. Raas, A Dance of Love is a rhythm game. It's a rhythm dancing game. It's a Euro game, basically. You're going to be rotating dials, taking actions as you try to gather all your various resources and summon them into your player board. It is both vibrant, pretty, and tactically sound. This is one that I covered both a prototype way back, like way back before Arcane Wonders ever had this. I know the designer, and he demoed it to me, and I really enjoyed it. Then Arcane Wonders picked it up, made a beautiful production out of it. We had a chance to cover the prototype on the channel. It's absolutely beautiful, vibrant, and definitely one worth checking out if you like simple, quick Euro games. Again, late pledges over here. It's pretty straightforward as far as the pledges, 80 or 65, or, you know, accessories and all that, 150. But that's Raas, A Dance of Love. We have Dogs of War from Play to Z. This is one that basically 245,000, 3,000 backers. This is a remake of Dogs of War, originally from CMON. Fun fact, there are, I think, 3 CMON campaigns we're going to be talking about today, none of which were done by CMON, but 3 games that were originally CMON that are no longer CMON. Dogs of War is one of them. Play to Z took this one on. They did a reissuing of the game and whatnot. They also have an upgrade pack for original owners of Dogs of War, but it's also streamlining and changing the rules. So it's not just, you know, new production. There's actual changes to the game. This is a game where you take on the roles of kind of mercenaries, helping various factions go to war. So you pick a side, and then next turn pick a different side. Who cares? It's all about you figuring out what's best for you, not what's best for the various factions you are fighting for. Excellent game, very unique. Paolo Mori, if I'm not mistaken, but great game. I have not played this version of it. I've played the original. Then we have Cretaceous Rails. This is Cretaceous Rails Reprint and Cretaceous Seas expansion. I have not played Cretaceous Seas. I have played Cretaceous Rails. This is an excellent worker placement game which you're going to be working within a grid. It's a worker placement grid that you're going to be placing your workers onto the grid to take the combination of the adjacency of the various actions as you place down your dial. Then combine that with these cards you're going to be building that are going to drastically escalate your tableau as you try to go ahead and build out your rights and do a degree of sightseeing, a pick up and deliver as you go around the map over there. But the combination of the action selection mechanism combined with the sheer strength of the cards and how satisfying it feels to build up in this game, Cretaceous Rails is definitely a game that has the toy factor of the dinosaurs on the table while also being an excellent Euro game at the same time. 284,000 and 1,900 backers. We have Final Titan, 430,000 euros, 3,600 backers. This is basically King of Tokyo if, you know, this is your first time playing King of Tokyo and it was fresh and new and good again. That's kind of the closest I can come to it. It has that comparison, that kind of King of the Hill kind of comparison, although it definitely is a very different experience. So, like, don't get scared off by the King of Tokyo comparison. I would say that if you like King of Tokyo, this kind of leans into the same ideas. And if you didn't like King of Tokyo, this will be one worth checking out, but it might not be. There's no guarantee this game is for you or isn't for you. That's the nature of, well, any game ever. But Final Titan is one where you're basically taking control of these various rosters of champions, and they're going head to head, rolling dice, utilizing their abilities. It is very straightforward fun. It's the drafting, dice rolling, constant action, choosing when to enter the arena or when to back out. It's basically chaos. It's chaos with a King of the Hill aspect and then a roster of champions and trying to utilize their abilities. It is straight, pure fun. It is, again, there's definitely strategy in it, but a lot of the strategy is similar to what the choices you make, not how you roll a die. Rolling a die is rolling a die, but the choices you make, when to enter the arena, which upgrades to pair, which champions to draft, that's where a lot of the fun is going to come in. It is perfect for that, like, you know, you want a filler game to end the night. We have Ronin's Revenge, $487,000, 1,600 backers. Ronin's Revenge from Dragori Games is an excellent boss battler system, which you're going to be, well, you have this kind of adventure mode you can go through, which I was less into, but then from there you actually have the boss battler phase instead, where you're going to be kind of being mindful that the enemy, the boss, is going to be fighting you, unleashing his powerful attacks, and it's all about you trying to manage the timing and mitigation, and choosing how to kind of break those attacks, or being mindful of the event that's going to come into play. There's a lot of control over this. It kind of gave me similar vibes to Primal, a boss battler that I absolutely love, but that sense of control, that bad things are going to happen, there's no question, but you have some degree of planning and mitigation you can take while utilizing the combination, the roster of your abilities. You can play either with 4 full heroes, or alternatively playing with a hero and then a degree of companions, if not mistaken. Overall, it was a very satisfying boss battler. If you do watch my review, the one thing I'll say is I'm always wary of just rules overload. And Dragori Games, it's funny because their first game, Redo the Contest, way back when, I give them props to the fact that I was able to dive into the game from like a 6-page pamphlet, and the rules were like there if I needed them. Subsequent games have definitely needed more rules, I would say. This is one that is not the easiest to dive into. There's some great videos by, oh my gosh, Rolling Solo, if I'm not mistaken, but and obviously Prototype. But this is a very solid game if you like boss battling games. We have Rurik Second Edition from Fantasia Games, 4,000 backers, 642,000 euro. Rurik Second Edition is going to be, well, the second edition of Rurik. Rurik is an underrated gem. It's an absolutely fantastic game that I'm glad Fantasia Games took up this production to give it kind of a much larger spotlight than it's ever had before, and I think that spotlight will be even further enhanced once this game delivers. Beautiful beautiful production, beautiful art, and then enhanced to gameplay. I will say enhanced gameplay. There's definitely changes to the gameplay. They dropped it down from 4 rounds to 3 rounds, which I was wary about, but overall the end result works. The amount you get done in those 3 rounds is incredibly satisfying as you spread around the board, try to gather various resources. They made strong changes to the way you gather resources onto your dock versus the new player board and the way that works, but overall I thought the changes were fantastic. This is one that as soon as I get my hands on this, I will be getting rid of my old copy of Rurik because, I mean, don't get me wrong, Rurik's fantastic. If you have a copy of Rurik, I don't think you need to upgrade. There are meaningful changes, but the feeling I wouldn't say is meaningfully different. The feeling is still very much Rurik. I think that if you have Rurik and you don't, if you're playing Rurik once or twice a year, you're probably fine with the copy as is. You don't need to upgrade. But if this is your first opportunity to get Rurik, I think this is a great chance to dive in. It is one of my favorite area control games. It is so ridiculously satisfying. The action selection system from Stan Kodonsky, the same system he uses in Minos, but much more as an area control game as opposed to a Euro over here. Absolutely fantastic. Definitely check it out if you have the opportunity to do so. We have Machina Arcana, another kind of like hidden gem. Like both Rurik and Machina Arcana are like well-loved games that never saw like the same level of reception that others. Like, you know, Rurik to, I don't know, Cyclades is like Machina Arcana to like Massive Darkness or whatnot. Machina Arcana is an excellent dungeon crawler with steampunk Cthulhu vibes, a sense of fear as you try to escape your enemies while also being mindful of how to power up. The gear in this game is so top-notch. The sense of urgency is incredibly well done. The biggest criticism I'd have is that the game can run a little long. It's like, you know, as you try to crawl across the various maps you're going through. It is an excellent dungeon crawler, despite the fact that the designer of the game does not like it being called dungeon crawler. It has a feel of a dungeon crawler, of exploration, of fear, of panic as you go on these missions, and then run and encounter the enemies as you need while powering up. A really well done sense of tension, almost a combination between Cthulhu Death May Die and Resident Evil from Steamforged Games, giving you that sense of balance, of power and fear all at the same time. This was an opportunity to get the newest expansion as well as miniatures for the game for the first time. They have the miniatures box as a separate add-on. I don't think you need that, again, especially if you're worried about either cost or storage. The miniatures, like, I love this game and I've never once played with miniatures. I've only ever played with the standees. I do want the miniatures, but like I don't need the miniatures. But it's a fantastic game. Machina Arcana, definitely check it out if you haven't yet. Then from there we have Blood Rage Valhalla, 1.7 million, 5,000 backers. I believe this will also be available at Gen Con. This is one of the ones I mentioned that was a CMON title, Blood Rage, taken up by Tycoon Games, and despite the campaign getting a lot of pushback, again, this is one of those things where I'm like, hold me to it. Hold me to it. Like, I know whether you like CMON or don't, whether you like Tycoon Games or not, whether you thought the game was priced this way or that way, you want to stretch goals, forget for a second anything about how the campaign was run, but as far as the gameplay goes, or this board, people hated the board and all that, but as far as the gameplay goes, hold me to this one. Like, look at the ratings when this comes out. Look at what the reception is. I think this delivers an excellent Blood Rage experience. I think the drama around the board was completely overblown, but I will say I had the opportunity to play the game, so I was able to look past the board and into the experience. But this gives you Blood Rage with a fresh new taste to what Blood Rage is doing, as well as the variability of the fact that different gods means different structures of the decks each time. It was Blood Rage with significantly more variability to the experience. A fresh new take on a classic done well. I thought this was absolutely fantastic. I will admit the setting of the original Blood Rage is definitely better than the setting that you have over here. I just don't think it meaningfully matters. I'd rather better gameplay over a better board. That said, they did try to address everyone by making changes to it based on, like, you know, preferences. And I think that's valid. I think making changes is valid. I just think that when this game delivers, if you are a Blood Rage fan, this is worth checking out. This is worth trying. If you're not a Blood Rage fan, well, I mean, if you haven't played Blood Rage, there's still a good chance to try it. If you have played Blood Rage and don't like it, I don't know if this will change your mind. I don't think it would. It still is the feeling of Blood Rage, just done better, in my opinion. Terraforming Mars, The Legacy of Mars, another drama-filled campaign. 3.1 million, 1,300 backers over here, 13,000 backers. Terraforming Mars, Legacy of Mars is an excellent game that, once again, you might have issues with for a variety of reasons. Whether it's the Firaxis game and some of their past comments, whether it's the AI art, or whether it's the fact that you have to buy all the new tiles. There are a lot of reasons why people were upset about this campaign, and all of them are, you know, pick your reason, go into it. There's a whole lot of things we could talk about. But as far as the gameplay itself was excellent. The gameplay was, granted, it's mostly Terraforming Mars. So if you like Terraforming Mars, congratulations, you'll like this. This is mostly Terraforming Mars, but there's meaningful changes as you move to planet. There's meaningful changing of the decks, and the experience is incredible. The campaign experience you get out of this, I had the 4 game 7-game version. The first half, it's a 7-game arc, but the first session, the first campaign essentially has the first 4 games, and the subsequent 3 will come later. But it is excellent. Do you need this if you are a Terraforming Mars fan? Absolutely not. Do you want it? Probably. Should you just play Terraforming Mars? That depends. If you're playing 1 game of Terraforming Mars a year, you probably don't need Legacy of Mars. Terraforming Mars is going to give you that experience as is. If you've played a lot of Terraforming Mars and you want more, the Legacy of Mars is great. It is not a Legacy game. It is effectively multiple different campaigns, multiple different games with a degree of progression between them that is resettable. So it's a campaign game, not a Legacy game. The sense of drasticness to how much things change, not as present as I would like. I think there's so much room for a true Legacy game that is Terraforming Mars Legacy. Granted, it would be very hard to market that at this point because it would be very confusing to be, well, we have the Legacy of Mars, which is not a Legacy game, but now we have Terraforming Mars Legacy. Is it a Legacy game? Yes, this one is. It would be very hard to do, but if they ever choose to do it, I think there's so much material for a true, amazing Terraforming Mars Legacy game. That aside, this is excellent. It is absolutely excellent. If you like Terraforming Mars, you'll like this. I have a hard time seeing how you wouldn't. If they did a good job with it, all the other complaints, sure, they're valid, but as far as the gameplay goes, this is a great game. Zombicide Dead Man Tales, another CMON campaign not run by CMON. We're at 3 ex-CMON games, Dogs of War, Blood Rage, and Zombicide. But Zombicide Dead Man Tales are run by Fantasy Flight now. Asmodee took on this one. They have done by Fantasy Flight. This was also excellent with the caveat that I only played the first scenario over here. So I only played the one scenario, that's all they really had, so I can't comment on the full picture, but so far, this was great. They gave you a large selection of miniatures, it gave you a great setting, one of my favorite settings. I meant to mention at the beginning of this video, I've been playing Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced. That was one of the better settings to go back to. Is it the best gameplay? No, but setting-wise, I love the setting of Black Flag. I like pirates. I don't know, maybe I just like pirates. I like Rubber Bones as well, another CMON game while we're at it. No one's picked that one up yet, interestingly enough. But either way, I like Rubber Bones, I like Fantasy Zombicide Dead Man Tales. I am very intrigued as to where this will land. I think it's going to replace White Death for me. White Death is still on my shelf, and I think I do want to give it more plays, but I'm not quite sold on that one. And I do like the other Zombicides I have, from Marvel Zombies to Deceased if it ever shows up, or to Black Plague and Green Horde. But I do want Dead Man Tales. This was a great setting, great miniatures, solid gameplay as far as being a very, very challenging gameplay. It reminded me of Undead or Alive, the Wild West Zombicide, which to me was a great game, but I didn't care about the setting. That was a great game that I kept for a while despite the setting, and then once Marvel Zombies came along, I was like, I need to make choices. I need to make hard choices. And so Dead Man Tales, I think, will be fully added to my collection, but obviously, you know, time will tell as far as everything, as far as what the other scenarios are like, how much the gameplay content, is it all challenging or just that one scenario? That we shall see, but overall, really enjoyed this one, and tons of ways to spend lots of money and get lots of configurations. I did a full Should You Back video if you want to see that. We have Slay the Spire. Slay the Spire Downfall. This is another excellent game over here. This is from Contention Games. They have the first Slay the Spire. Downfall brought new characters to the board, to the map, to the board game based on the fan expansion. I still haven't played the fan expansion digitally. I have it, but I haven't played it. I need to eventually, but I have played. I played a lot of Slay the Spire, as well as a lot of Slay the Spire, the board game, as well as Downfall. Downfall was very solid. The characters in Downfall, I had 3 out of the 4 characters. The 3 I played as were all great, giving you a strong challenge to the game, giving you different feels to the way you build up those characters. If you wanted more Slay the Spire content, this is more Slay the Spire content. More things to mix in, and new characters to dive into, and new ways to kind of play through the progression of it all. It was great. I like Slay the Spire. If you want to check it out, this is definitely a good time to do so. As always, Slay the Spire, the digital game, will always be cheaper, easier to get into, but if you're looking for that tabletop experience, this delivers it, and it delivers it well. And that brings us to Raas Pittsburgh from Roxley Games over here. This is $10 million raised, 39,000 backers. Raas Pittsburgh from Roxley brings B.E.L.W, the #1 game of all time, the new version of the #1 game, because we have Birmingham being the #1 game of all time on Board Game Geek, and Pittsburgh brings new elements to the game, new oil factories, basically, new refineries, new tracks to be mindful of as far as how you're going to balance it all, while bringing the same familiar gameplay. If you are familiar with Raas, this is kind of like, again, Lancashire to Birmingham, Birmingham to Pittsburgh. This brings you that same structure of the gameplay, while changing up the interactions you have. If you are a hardcore Raas fan, this gives you new strategies to dive into. If you're new to the world of Raas, this might well be one that I have a hard time knowing which one is the best entry point to Raas, because I started with Age of Industry. That was my original Raas was Age of Industry, which is not the first Raas. There was Raas, then Age of Industry, then Raas Lancashire, Birmingham, and now Pittsburgh. There's been a long track of all these games over here. And Age of Industry, for those who don't know, Age of Industry and Raas are like 95% similar. There's changes, but like there's basically the same structure. But Age of Industry, I loved back in the day, and then moved to that. I skipped the original Raas, never played that. Played Age of Industry, played played Raas, Lancashire, then played Birmingham, finally Pittsburgh. That was my order. So I don't really know what the right order to dive into them is. But I can tell you that Pittsburgh was excellent, it was solid, and if you missed out on the campaign, well, you can go ahead and get access to them. Actually, they just opened the late pledges, by the way. This is actually only just recently opened, I believe, so had I done this video a month ago, you wouldn't have had the opportunity to get this, at least not yet. Then we have The Witcher Legacy. The Witcher Legacy over here, 31,000 again by Go On Board, but 31,000 over here, 12 million euro raised. The Witcher Legacy brings the world of The Witcher Old World, but it brings it to you in a legacy game. This one being an actual legacy game, not a campaign game that has the word legacy in the title to confuse you. But The Witcher Legacy, this is basically if you like the combat from Go On Board, if you wanted more of a cooperative game, if you wanted a legacy with a degree of progression, this is what you can go ahead and get your hands on. This is one that I'm very interested in myself. I'm curious about it because I only had that first scenario, and so for me, a legacy game after this first scenario is not the same experience. I haven't been able to experience that true degree of progression, what's going to change or unlock, and whenever I review legacy games, it's always challenging. I remember, like, there are many legacy games over the years that I was like, this is good so far, we'll see where it goes. For me, The Witcher Legacy so far is a step down from the old world. It is not as good as the old world, yet it has the same combat, which I love, it has the cooperation, which I love, but it had less combat and more narrative, and I like the more combat stuff. I like the more mechanics and less the narrative stuff. The narrative stuff's good, but so far I like the old world more. But that said, I do like The Witcher Legacy. I do like it, I just like the old world more, but I'm curious, what do 2 or 3 games do? How do we change up the experience? What sense of true ongoing legacy elements are there? Because it could be amazing, or it could be like, you know, the Legacy of Mars, which feels more like a campaign, which is still good, but like, you know, again, we'll see where it goes. I can tell you I for sure liked it. I don't yet know how much I will like it as I actually get to experience the legacy elements. And then lastly, before we dive into the campaigns I haven't played, we have Lands of Evershade, $14 million raised, 33,000 backers. Lands of Evershade from Awakened Realms. This is one that I've gotten the final game. I've been diving into it. Just had someone ask me where my Lands of Evershade review is, and the answer is the prototype. Right now, the prototype is my review. When I've had the chance to go through at least 2 full campaigns, maybe I'll do a review, but ideally even 3 full campaigns. This is so far, I'm nearly done the first campaign, playing through it with my daughter. We're really enjoying it, building the characters, doing all the stuff. I love playing through the prototype of Lands of Evershade, and I've been having a lot of fun playing through Into the White Well, re-examining, re-exploring that game that I've already had a chance to play as a prototype, and diving into a second time. So this is my second time through the first chapter, and I hope to dive into the subsequent chapters and be able to actually make more meaningful progress. But this is an excellent campaign system. There's definite critiques that I have, like having spent more time in it and going through a second time. I definitely have a degree of elements that I think are worth being critical of. Things like, I don't think it's actually that challenging. The app actually is that bad. There's a lot of small things like the voice narration app and all that. There are definitely things to be critical of, but as an experience, it still is the best RPG board game I've played, in the sense that giving me that sense of a character development, making choices, exploring the narrative, while diving into combat and having different diverse branching pathways as far as the mechanical elements of what you're doing in the game. There are definitely complaints, but the experience is top notch. Which brings me to the 5 late pledges that I haven't played that I'm just saying I'm interested in them. So these are just campaigns I'm interested in. We have Radiance from Joe Clipwell, well, from Gabe Barrett, the solo game of the month club, but designed by Joe Clipwell, who did Buttons and Bugs, who did Dragons of Etchenstone, 6,000 backers, $380,000 raised. This brings you a lot of card combos as you choose your various classes over here, go through the adventures, having the things turn into your next challenges as you go through it. I like the art, I like the production, I like the designer, I like the company. All those things have me interested in this one. Singularity. This one I believe is finally delivering shortly. 1,800 backers, 400,000. This one has vibrant artwork, purely deterministic combat as far as, well, no luck gameplay, I should say. But overall, I'm intrigued to this one. The one criticism or concern, I should say, is any game that is this card driven, the question will always be, how much does it hold up to actually, how reliant on knowledge of the ecosystem is there? Like, how much is it able to just dive into it and play, versus how much do you have to know the back and forth, the intricacies of it? That I don't know yet, but I am interested in Singularity. Then we have over here Vampire Survivors. Again, mentioning video games, I finally played Vampire Survivors for the first time this year. I don't know why this year was when I dove into it, but I started playing it a lot on my Steam Deck, really enjoying it, having fun with it, and then this game came out, and they were unrelated. I played Vampire Survivors first, and then I heard about Vampire Survivors, the board game, and I was like, the timing of that's interesting, and that has me interested in this one. The idea of the board game, of the video game applied to the board game, I'm intrigued. I like the art. They're managing to capture that pixelated look, but the gameplay, I don't see how they could possibly capture the gameplay of the video game. So the real question becomes, what gameplay are they able to capture? I mean, designed by Emerson Matsuchi, who I do trust as a designer. I've really been enjoying more video games here. Metal Gear Solid from Emerson is fantastic, an absolutely excellent game. Foundations of Rome is a great game. I'm pretty sure he's a designer of that. So as a designer, he's fantastic. That has confidence, that brings me confidence but I don't yet know whether this will deliver what I want or not. So color me both very interested and very hesitant all at the same time. Then we have over here Bad Crow Games with a Company of Heroes. I've heard nothing but good things about this game. The big concern I have is the sheer scope and scale of it, but overall this is a World War II themed game based on the video game. Lots of based on the video games here today. I didn't realize how many we'd have, but we have a bunch over here. But the sheer amount of content both excites and scares me for this one, but I've heard there's a good solo mode. I've heard it's an excellent head-to-head. I'm interested in this one. I've never actually bit the bullet on it, but I am very interested in Company of Heroes, and it's one that I would love to get tabled. And then lastly, another one that I'm interested in, we have Below the Asylum from Awakened Realms. I've covered a lot of Awakened Realms prototypes. Below the Asylum is one that I did not have a chance to do so. I did not get a chance to dive into this one, and there are some vague elements of association with Cthulhu Death May Die that has me interested in this. Like, will it deliver that kind of experience? Is it a good game? Is it not a good game? 14,000 backers, $4.2 million. This, the art style, I love. The components, obviously, Awakened Realms. The general idea of, like, you know, this eventual climactic boss fight, I like all that. Ultimately, will it deliver, or will it be not what I'm looking for? Like, oh, look at this board over here. I didn't even see this board last time. Oh my gosh. I did not cover this campaign as much as I should have. This is look at this. I like it. I like the idea of it. I don't know what it will be. I don't know if it'll be amazing. I don't know if it'll be a complete miss, but I am very interested in this one, and I'd love to find out more, and I'm sure I will at some point, but not right now. And those are your 20 games to late pledge over here. All of these are currently open. All of these are available to back at the moment if you are interested in them. You can check them out. Obviously, thanks again to Go On Board for sponsoring this video. We have Cyberpunk over here as our, reminder. You have 7 days left to back this until you have to do secondhand market or stuff. I don't know, until other options are going to be what you have to figure out. But until next time, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co. Hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.